everyone, it's Miss Sims here. I am so excited that you're here to join me for this art lesson today because we get to explore a new style of art. We get to practice so many different elements of art as we're doing it, and you will come out with a finished project that looks so cool. I'm ready. I hope you are too. Let's get started. So today we're working on something called typography. And typography is basically where you create art with writing. Sometimes it's different fonts. And so today we're going to be working on something that looks like this. It almost looks like a graffiti art. And graffiti art is really misunderstood because a lot of people think that graffiti is always bad. And yes, sometimes graffiti can be bad, right? But sometimes graffiti is for a really good purpose and it is done the right way, meaning people get permission to do the graffiti art. There's lots of places like Venice, California, countries like Greece that love graffiti art, and they put up special walls just so people can make these pieces of art with their spray paint and graffiti. Now that you know a little more about street art or graffiti art, we can go ahead and get started with our project. Our first goal will be to combine different elements of art, like texture and line. And then our second goal is to try typography. You are just going to try to create artwork that uses letters or numbers. Before we get started today, you'll need a blank piece of paper, a pencil with an eraser, a permanent marker, crayons, and an option to have regular colored markers as well. Once you have your materials, we are going to start by drawing a very light line as straight as you can down the middle of your paper. Once you have that, we're going to start towards the top. We're going to make almost like a smiley face, a very rounded U. And then we're going to do the opposite on the other side. So we've got two lines curving in towards that middle line, and the middle line's just staying right there in the center. These are going to help us place where we want our letters to be when we write our name. So I'm going to use the example of the name Shay. That is my cat's name. So I'm going to draw a nice big S, and it's going to touch the top line, go through the middle, and touch the bottom. I'm going to do that again. You do not want to do lowercase though. So see what I just did there? You need to make every single letter uppercase. Now I have the A, and then she has an E at the end of her name, S-H-A-E, and it goes up along that top line, through the middle, and down by the bottom. So you can see my letters are different sizes because those lines curved in towards each other. That's what we want. Now we're going to, with our pencil still, bubble around the outside of our letters. And you'll see it's going to look like it hits the other letters. So when I bubbled around the S, the H is super close. So now when I go to do the H, you have to stop and go around the letter that was there first. So they will overlap, and that's okay. That's how a lot of graffiti art and typography works. You're going to keep doing this for all of the letters that you have. Now that you have that part done, we are going to get our permanent marker out, and you are going to start outlining those bubble lines you did. So you're only doing the outline. Do not do permanent marker on the middle lines of the letters or any of the first three lines that we made that help us know where to draw. We don't need those, so just do the outlines of each letter. It should look something like this when you're done. After you've finished, your name is outlined, you're just going to take your eraser from your pencil and erase all of the pencil lines. Make sure every single pencil line is erased before we go on to the next step. You might also find that you need to fix or touch up some parts of the permanent marker after your pencil lines are gone, and now is a great time to do that as well. So at this point in the process, we have the hardest task, which is figuring out where to highlight. Basically, what we're going to look for are lines that go up and down on any of your letters. So for example, part of my S on this edge of this line goes up and down. There is nothing on my bubble to the left of it, so I'm going to highlight it. That just means I'm going to add like a thicker edge on that side to the permanent marker. That's not up and down. Right there's up and down, and if I go to the left, there's nothing really there, so I can go ahead and highlight right there. But right there, it kind of runs in, so I don't want that highlight to go too far. I'm going to keep doing this process all the way around. That line doesn't work, but the line next to it does, so I can add a little bit of highlight right in this little corner of the S, and I'll keep going around to all of my letters and doing it. Take your time on this. Make sure that you have it exactly the way you want it. Remember that if you are going and you're on, for example, let's say the letter A, and I have a line that's going up and down, but I go next door and part of that bubble is still there from the same part of the letter, that same letter A, I don't want to highlight it. Don't forget to pause and take your time on any of this. When you are done with your highlight, you can create any sort of shape that goes around the outside. You're going to want like bubbles or spikes, something that gives it something interesting that goes all the way around the letters. Remember, this is street art or graffiti art, so it does not need to be perfect. And if you make a mistake, just keep going. You have now made it to the coolest part of this project, which is adding the colors and details. Today we are just going to add colors, and I will share another video with you next week about adding the background and all kinds of extra details. So be on the lookout for that if you want to add even more when you're finished with the coloring. This is when you'll want to get your crayons out, and you're going to choose 3 colors that are very similar to each other. So I'm choosing a regular green. I also had that lighter green out before that, which is a green yellow. And then I'm choosing a stronger yellow that kind of has a little green mixed in it as well. So the theme is they're all sort of green, but they're different shades of green. I'm going to choose the darkest of my 3 colors first, and I'm going to make a section at the top that is just the dark color. Now you'll notice that it might not reach all of the letters because not all of them are tall enough to be part of this dark green section. Once I do the top like that, I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. I'm going to make a dark green section that can be colored in. Remember, maybe not all of the letters will get in there. And you'll want to color this nice and strongly. You don't want to break your crayon, but you want these colors to be vibrant. Now we're going to take the middle shade, so not the lightest, but not the darkest one that we just used, and we're going to do that again. We will start on the bottom. You can do a bottom section, that's a middle color, but don't go all the way through, so that there's 2 different colors now next to each other with a white strip in the middle. Lastly, we're going to take our lightest color and we will fill in that white section in the middle so that you have what's called an ombre, something that goes dark to light or light to dark, and the light is meeting in the middle for our ombre, and that is it for today. As you can see, this is a big project. It's super fun, but it takes some time, and you'll have to really be a conscientious worker as you go through to do this all the right way. If you don't finish this week, it is okay to send me a picture of it partially completed. Not everyone will get the chance next week to be able to work more on this project because of Thanksgiving break. We have Thursday and Friday off, and some of you normally have art that week. I will still post a follow-up video to show you what we're doing next, but if you don't have time to do it or you're not having art class next week, don't worry about sending in a picture. I'll talk more about that in next week's lesson, but for now, good luck, have fun, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. Bye!